Also in that year, the Soviets detonated their first so-called hydrogen bomb. In 1956, the US ran Operation Red Wing, in which they used all three bomb design developments: two-point linear detonation, gas fusion boosted pit, and the latest development, the air lens. Incorporating the nail and hammer effect again, a hollow ovoid high explosive is detonated from either end. The imploding shockwave moves through the air, forming a spherical wave. The wave hits and detonates a spherical charge that then crushes the plutonium pit. The initial fission process is boosted with the fusing hydrogen gas, and the weapon detonates. This so-called Swan device was small, only 30 centimeters in diameter. Efficient in both effect and materials, it evolved into the W-54 warhead and became the basis of most other weapons designs. It would become the primary trigger for the secondary fusion-fission device or thermonuclear bomb, known incorrectly as the hydrogen bomb. In 1957 brought Operation Plum Bob at the Nevada test site, 29 tests, including use of troops on the ground, where many were exposed to hazardous levels of radiation. This same year, Britain tested its first hydrogen bomb.
Britain fires its first H-bomb to join the United States and Russia as ranking atomic powers. The thermonuclear device was fired high over its target in the Christmas Islands, keeping fallout at a minimum. But the test added heat to the mounting debate over the safety of atomic tests.
The following year, a planned series of thermonuclear detonations to dig a new harbor at Cape Thompson in Alaska was cancelled due to public pressure. Operation Heart Attack 1 and 2 saw the US detonate a total of 72 nuclear weapons, each a minimum of 1 megaton in range, in Nevada and the Pacific. Argus was the launching of 3 Redstone missiles armed with nuclear warheads over the southern Atlantic Ocean. They detonated in near space.
The 3 rockets fired by the vessel about that time to explode nuclear bombs 300 miles high as part of Project Argus, the greatest scientific experiment ever conducted. The nuclear bursts in the vacuum of space threw a shell of radiation around the Earth within an hour. A globe-girdling network of thousands of scientists made observations. To monitor the radiation shell in outer space, the satellite Explorer 4th was launched.
France began testing its nuclear device in 1960 in Algeria. 4 weapons were tested. One story suggests that the last detonation was not so much a weapons test as an emergency procedure to stop the bomb falling into the hands of guerrilla forces rebelling against the French. 1960 saw the world's stockpile of nuclear weapons climb. The US had 20,434 strategic and tactical warheads. The Soviets were far behind with 1,605, mainly large thermonuclear devices, and Britain had developed its own designs with an arsenal of 30 weapons. To maintain a viable deterrent from a first strike by the Soviets and vice versa, the US had submarines patrolling the depths of the oceans, missiles in their silos poised and ready, and bomber aircraft in the air patrolling their fail-safe points 24 hours of the day. But of course, accidents are going to happen. The most likely to occur involved aircraft, and there were several.
An atomic bomb breaks loose from a mounting shackle in a B-47 jet over Florence, South Carolina, plummets to Earth, causing a sensational freak accident. There was near disaster for those within range of the TNT, that is the bomb's trigger. 6 were injured. The home of Walter Gregg was turned into a shambles.
In October 1961, the Soviets detonated a gravity bomb called the Tsar Bomba at 50 megatons, the largest weapons test ever.
Polaris missiles arrive at Cape Canaveral for their first test firings from the nuclear submarine expressly designed for the job, USS George Washington. The tests are a stirring climax to a 4-year program to mate the nuclear submarine and the intermediate-range ballistic missile. Now the sub's missile hatches are cleared and ready. They'll house the 28-foot two-stage rockets until the moment when mighty gusts of compressed air will shoot the Polaris from under the sea to the surface and ignition. Every stage of the loading and the cruise to the firing area about 30 miles off Cape Canaveral is under detailed scrutiny of a battery of test instruments. The George Washington goes down some 50 to 60 feet below the surface, and the time for launching is at hand. The first missile, after a startling off-angle emergence, corrects itself and soars downrange 1,100 miles to its target with remarkable accuracy. A few hours later, the second Polaris is fired. Another successful shot, an achievement of major strategic importance for America's defense.
At the same time, Dominic tests were performed at Christmas Island, Johnson Atoll, and the Central Pacific. A total of 36 shots, including Frigate Bird, the live fire of a Poseidon missile with a live warhead, plus Fishbowl, 3 high-altitude detonations. It was during this series of Thor missile tests that several accidents and mishaps occurred, the most serious the Bluegill prime shot. The Thor missile's main engine failed on the launch pad and caused a fire. Range safety officers destroyed the missile and warhead on the pad, seriously contaminating the entire site, requiring 3 months of decontamination and repairs. The French detonated a further 12 weapons underground in Algeria. The partial test ban treaty signed between the United States and the Soviet Union in 1963 called for the cessation of atmospheric tests and a limit to the maximum yield of warhead tests. It allowed for underground testing. January 1966, and a fully armed B-52 bomber carrying 4 B-28 megaton range gravity bombs collided with an air tanker whilst refueling over Palomares, Spain, killing the crews of both aircraft and destroying 2 of the bombs, which contaminated a large area with plutonium. 2 other bombs went missing and sparked a massive bomb hunt.
We've just seen the H-bomb. It was lying at the back of the Petrel, an auxiliary submarine recovery vessel. The bomb was about 10 feet long, had a few dents at the back, but otherwise appeared to be unharmed.
From 1964 to 67 at the Nevada test site, 175 more tests were conducted. The French moved their testing to the Pacific islands of Fangataufa and Mururoa atolls in French Polynesia, where they performed 45 atmospheric tests, including their first hydrogen bomb. The Chinese stepped into the nuclear game in October 1964 at their test site in Malan, Xinjiang. In June 1967, they tested their hydrogen bomb, a total of 45 devices, over half of them atmospheric tests. By 1968, the United States had 1,000 Minuteman II and III ICBMs and 64 Titan II missiles in silos. They also had 646 strike bombers, each able to carry several nuclear bombs and short-range attack missiles, or SRAMs, and 656 sea-launched ballistic missiles, each with multiple warheads aboard ballistic missile submarines in their strategic arsenal, plus thousands more tactical warheads for short-range missiles, torpedoes, depth charges, anti-ship missiles, artillery pieces, and even man-carried Davy Crockett recoilless rifle and demolition charges. The modern design layout for these weapons to gain